DayBreak Town, Scala ad Caelum, Land of Departure, Castle Oblivion, Radiant Garden, and the Keyblade Graveyard. What do all of these worlds have in common? I think there's a very clear connection between all of them, which will be the focus of today's theory. Let me just make something clear, this is not a summary of Union Cross, Dark Road, or any of the mobile games. If you haven't played or watched them, I recommend you watch Damo's amazing Union Cross fan dub. I expect you to already know most of the story, so I'll only be explaining things relevant for this video. I'll go over Scala's history with details on its inhabitants throughout time. I'll be going chronologically from Kingdom Hearts Key all the way to Kingdom Hearts A Melody of Memory. So take this as the obvious spoiler warning. If you aren't fully caught up, just bookmark this video and come back to it later, or watch anyway so we can reconnect Kingdom Hearts together. Although we'll be going chronologically, I first need to provide some context. Following the aftermath of Birth by Sleep, we see the Land of Departure left in ruins. Aqua walks into the main building and faces flashbacks of the last thing that Eraqus told her when she became a Keyblade Master at the start of the game.
Should anything happen to me, and you find the Legion of Darkness at our doorstep, I ask that you take my Keyblade and use it to lock this land away.
We haven't seen the Land of Departure in any of the previous games, and chronologically, it first appears only 15 years before BBS, when Xehanort gives Eraqus his iconic scar during their battle. Considering there's a huge time gap between Dark Road and the Land of Departure, during Eraqus' and Xehanort's adolescent years, there may be an untold story of Scala ad Caelum being attacked by darkness. Now this may be the darkness formed in people's hearts, like what happened with the Queen in Wonderland, or it may involve one of the actual ancient darknesses. But whatever the reason is, during the last scene that we see of Greek Scala, we find out that Eraqus inherited the Master Defender Keyblade, previously wielded by their master, Odin. It's also suggested that this is also when Eraqus inherited stewardship over Scala, since at the end of Dark Road, Odin says that he wishes to retire, and this scene takes place 7 years after that, which is 1 year after their Mark of Mastery exam. As I'm writing this, I realize that the series doesn't follow any sort of calendar system, which would have been really helpful to explain when events like these take place, considering they jump around a lot. But anyways, Birth by Sleep's letter to Eraqus supports this too, when he writes, "It was a heavy mantle our master placed upon your shoulders, naming you successor." Here, he's obviously referring to Master Odin making Eraqus the successor of Land of Departure, therefore being the next person to spread the teachings of becoming a Keyblade Master. Although Eraqus was given ownership over Scala, Xehanort wasn't left empty-handed. He was given the Keyblade from the age of fairy tales, which Eraqus believes he didn't attain any of the wisdom required to be worthy of it. Damn right, Eraqus. Eraqus told Aqua to transform Land of Departure into Castle Oblivion to hide it from the Legions of Darkness, which could be the exact reason for why Eraqus himself hid Scala. Now, Aqua didn't transform Land of Departure into Castle Oblivion due to the threat of any of the ancient darknesses appearing, but that's exactly what I think could happen during Kingdom Hearts 4 or 5. Another supporting evidence is from the Kingdom Hearts Ultimania, the story before Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, I wouldn't take Ultimania evidence as direct proof for any evidence, but this book states that Xehanort trained with Eraqus at the Land of Departure, meaning that although Scala ad Caelum probably hadn't been conceptualized yet, it was always the plan for Xehanort to train together with Eraqus in their youth. This is also confirmed in Xehanort's Report 1 in Birth by Sleep. But what's interesting is that 2 months after this Ultimania came out, a trailer of Kingdom Hearts 3 was shown behind closed doors, revealing the world that was referred to as Cable Town by the community. So the world was already conceptualized, and perhaps for the Ultimania, the team figured that since Scala wasn't revealed to the public yet, but it technically was the same area, they could just refer to it as Land of Departure. Now this next part may be a stretch, but I don't think there are any stretches as I pointed out in my other videos. There are no coincidences in Kingdom Hearts, and there are no story mistakes. You can fight me on this in the comments as long as we're strictly speaking about the story, which doesn't include mistranslations, typos, and model errors due to any budget constraints. I think everything is meticulously crafted and done on purpose, and there's tons of elements that suddenly get brought back and repurposed after being irrelevant for decades. So, when looking for similarities between Scala and the Land of Departure, I noticed these gold chains, which look awfully familiar to the chains seen in Land of Departure. In recent games, these chains have been appearing quite a lot, including Odin using it on Baldur, and it's also going to be a primary mechanic in Kingdom Hearts 4, as we've already seen in the KH4 trailer. Going into Xehanort's classroom, we find these lights that I'm sure you can recognize. Thank you to II Captain Kai for letting me know, and 13th Vessel for the footage. Additionally, in Birth by Sleep, this video shows that water completely surrounds Land of Departure, which can't normally be seen. It also shows mountains that slightly resemble the towers of buildings seen in both versions of Scala. And even if you don't want to believe that someone transformed Scala into LoD, you could believe that the world was overrun by darkness, turning the islands into mountains. So, with Land of Departure previously being Scala, there are a few plot holes that need to be addressed. One of which being Eraqus saying that their predecessors were the ones who created the trick. I'll go over who uses Master Defender previously and who may have been the first to use this trick he mentions throughout the rest of the video. To do that, we must start from the very beginning. We see Scala's first conception during the age of fairy tales, then known as DayBreak Town. Its name, Daybreak, means dawn. This can be interpreted as the dawn of a new era, an era that the Master of Masters purposely created to defeat darkness. Break foreshadows its inevitable destruction, as seen pointed out in Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and go chronologically. The town has a constant beautiful twilight sky with purple buildings with a pretty mist covering the land, almost like a fairy tale.
But who's to say a fairy tale's not true?
During the start of Key, DayBreak Town was inhabited by 5 different unions, each ruled by a union leader respectively. These 5 union leaders are known as the Foretellers. Although there are only 5 unions, there's 7 foretellers, with the other 2 that don't have a union being Lushu and the Master of Masters. It's stated that during this time, all the worlds are connected as one big world. You can think of this similar to our world with Pangaea. However, although everything's connected, Ephemer tells us that no one actually physically travels to any other worlds because they're so far away. The Disney worlds in Key are just future projections from the Book of Prophecies of their real counterparts.
Get it? Or have I lost you? Good!
Keyblade wielders travel to these other worlds to gather Lux, meaning light, which they believe to being essential to protecting the world from darkness and prevent another Keyblade War from happening. Now, I say another, since the Master of Masters revealed that there was already a Keyblade War even before this game took place. The Master of Masters' end goal is to defeat darkness. There's 13 ancient darknesses to destroy. So, his plan starts by implanting each of the foretellers with the 7 strongest darknesses. And the point of this isn't directly related to the Keyblade War in this game. We have to focus on what comes after. Each foreteller is given a role, with Ava's role being to secretly train an organization of Keyblade wielders called the Dandelions. They'll be the only ones not to participate in the war, being the only survivors. Before the Keyblade War, the Master of Masters tells Ava that no one will remember the Keyblade War from ever happening, aside from the Dandelions. He then gives her the list of people that will become the successors to the Foretellers, becoming the new union leaders in charge of DayBreak Town. Alongside this, he also tells her to give the Book of Prophecies to the person circled in red. Ava, disobeying her master, gives the book and Master Defender to Brain instead. As this isn't a complete recap of Union Cross, we'll skip straight to the Keyblade War. As destiny foretold, the bells signaled the start of the war. Since all the worlds are still connected, the Keyblade Graveyard is simply part of the same land as DayBreak Town. One world, one sky, one destiny, remember? Although it's not explicitly shown, everyone might have just walked here, considering there's a 3-day time gap between the announcement of the war and when everyone actually gathers here. Considering the Keyblade Graveyard isn't a graveyard yet, they simply refer to it as the battlefield in most cases. Once this war concludes, Union Cross begins. It's revealed that everything happening after the war is within data. You see, the real DayBreak Town was scanned before the war happened and copied as data, sorta like Data Twilight Town in Kingdom Hearts 2. In Union Cross, the way Disney worlds work is that they're also made of data. Everyone but the Dandelions were programmed to forget that the Keyblade War had ever even happened. So, the only real people are the Dandelions, with every other Keyblade wielder being made up of data, like NPCs. The new Union leaders Ventus, Brain, Ephemer, Larium, and Skuld eventually discover that they're not in the real world after they start seeing glitches happening around town. This includes the clock tower glitching and seeing digital ghosts of people whom have died. This includes Strelitzia, who's revealed to have been killed by Ventus manipulated by darkness, with Ventus unknowingly taking her place as a Union leader. Skipping ahead, when the Union leaders discover that there's limited pods to escape Data DayBreak Town and are deciding who should take them, Brain unexpectedly hands Ephemer the Book of Prophecies and Master Defender. Brain reveals that Ephemer was supposed to be the one to get the book instead of him, and Brain's known to have read the book, so he must have given him the Keyblade for a reason too. The reason potentially being that it has the power to transform the area and completely rebuild it, as seen with Kingdom Hearts 3 and Line of Departure being completely restored back to how it was before. And even if this isn't the case here, I think it's definitely something that must happen at least once before BBS because of Eraqus' line. Elrena, Ephemer, Larium, Ventus, Skuld, and Brain escape Data DayBreak Town and return to the real world, where they find DayBreak Town completely falling apart with a dark orb in the sky. The only known people to have survived DayBreak Town's destruction are Ephemer, Luxu, and although not explicitly shown, probably the Dandelions, considering their entire purpose was to survive the war. So every present Keyblade wielder is probably related to a Dandelion, Ephemer, or Luxu. Skuld, Ven, Larium, and Elrena presumably successfully escape and land in the future, with the player characters sacrificing themselves to trap 5 of the Ancient Darknesses. Moving on from DayBreak Town to the first iteration of Scala ad Caelum by name, we see an obvious drastic change. Long gone are the twilight skies with colorful rooftops. In comes the fog, with Gothic Tim Burton-like architecture. Long shadows loom, with Baroque-inspired structures looming from eye to eye. Baroque actually being the name of a society, the Baroque Society. That's right, unions return in the form of societies, albeit no longer dubbed unions. We know there are other societies, but we haven't seen anything about them yet, and we don't know what they're called. During the Kingdom Hearts Missing Link trailer, there's a line, "The Remembered and the Forgotten." This is different from the Japanese translation, which is those with inheritance and those without inheritance. Nomura explained that this is related to those who are related to Ephemer and those who aren't, with his descendants each forming their own union. And I've seen some people thinking that this means that Ephemer must have had a lot of kids, at least 4, with each of them starting their own union, but I don't think this implies that at all. As long as he has one kid, after 4 generations, there can be a lot of descendants to form other unions. This interview also confirms our second union, being named the Society of the Successors. This society must have Ephemer's most direct descendants, like his grandkids. Scala ad Caelum directly translates to Stairway to Heaven, and it's also the name of the outside area in Kingdom Hearts 3. If we take a look at the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, the narrator Strelitzia tells us that Quadratum can be thought of as an afterworld, which is thematic as Scala is one of the last worlds that Sora visits before disappearing. Additionally, this world bears a striking resemblance to Luxarion, a world from Final Fantasy XIII-2. We know Nomura was working on Versus 13, which was connected to FF13, so it isn't far-fetched to assume that this was done on purpose, with Nomura being inspired by that world and wanting to include it in one of his works. Another Final Fantasy game that Nomura has worked on around the time of developing Versus 13 is Type 0. Type 0 has characters that are extremely similar to the Foretellers. I haven't played FF13 or Type 0 yet, so I won't comment on this any further, but you can check out tons of videos that express the similarities on screen now if you're interested. This version of Scala seems to take place during the Kingdom Hearts' version of the Industrial Revolution. From what we've seen during the latest trailer or from the betas, the area still isn't finished, with lots of cranes and scaffolding seen in the distance. A member of the Baroque Society, Freya, introduces us to the Dive Station, which is this world's way of having Disney worlds. During this era, Keyblade wielders are sent on missions to Unreality, or how they refer to it during this era, the Astral Dimension. Although, she mentions that previously people used to ride lifts to get around, which is interesting because there hasn't been any lifts seen during this iteration of Scala, at least from the gameplay we've seen so far. However, they're widely seen during the next version of Scala. So could the Scala we see in Kingdom Hearts 3 and Dark Road actually be set before Missing Link? Well, when Missing Link comes out and there's further evidence to prove this, I'll be sure to make a video. But for now, this is the first iteration of Scala by name that we know of. There's a bunch of scientists seen researching anomalies. The scientists have a very interesting outfit, one that you might recognize. Speaking about outfits, Brain arrives to this version of Scala ad Caelum seemingly by time traveling, with his hat being the medium. Now, we don't know if he arrives before or after the events present in the 2024 beta, but the ending of Union Cross's game shows that he's met with Sigurd. Sigurd wears an outfit that's reminiscent of Ansem Seeker of Darkness's outfit. I have a very interesting theory about who Sigurd might be that I'm pretty confident about, so I'll be sure to make a video about this soon. Not much else is known about this version of Scala, other than what the blue-robed figure tells us he's learned as the player's second life. He learned that light was to expire and darkness prevail, but that the Child of Destiny would change this outcome. I have another interesting theory that Xehanort could in fact be the Child of Destiny, but not the Xehanort that we know, but his 14th vessel. Speaking of Xehanort, the end of Union Cross shows us the player character taking baby Xehanort, from whom we can assume is his mother. This scene is seemingly the last we see of Scala and takes place in the most further point in time, until the Scala that we see in Dark Road. But the Scala that we see here looks drastically different, so what could have such a drastic change in how it looks? Well, the theory that I think most people agree on is the following. We could use baby Xehanort as a time reference. He's taken away when he's just a baby, then returns during his teenage years, and the area looks unrecognizable. Since we know that each world flows on its own time system, as Joshua in DDD explains, and is explained in Dark Road, Destiny Island's time may flow faster than Scala's, and it can be used to traverse through time really quickly. This is a similar sort of time dilation that explains why Aqua didn't age in the realm of darkness, although she was there for 10 years, from the perspective of someone outside the ROD. So can we please stop treating like Mickey left someone to rot in hell for 10 years? Although I will say, it is pretty funny.
Oh no. This is the best outcome. Mickey, you truly deserved it after leaving Aqua to burn in hell for 10 years. You piece of shit. You stupid fucking rat. You deserve to get skewered right now.
If we were to use the theory presented in the beginning of the video, what I think is a very likely scenario for Scala to go through is Ragnarok. With Ragnarok being the cause of Gothic Scala's destruction. Then, this would be followed by a character using a Keyblade to transform Gothic Scala into Dark Road Scala. The perfect character to do this is Brain, as he's wielded Master Defender before and is rumored to be related to Eraqus. If it is him, then him sacrificing himself to save the world from darkness would line up perfectly with Eraqus hating darkness. The dreary night sky is replaced by a saturated blue sky with white clouds surrounding tall structures separated by water. The white architecture is reminiscent of Mediterranean architecture present in real cities like Santorini and Amalfi. Now, although the atmosphere is completely different to Missing Link Scala, there are some characteristics that are similar, like the Baroque influence. It's never stated if there are any leaders of Scala ad Caelum, with the only authority figure that we see being Master Odin. Master Odin seemingly has two classes that he teaches. The upperclassmen, made up of Heimdall, Helgi, Hoder, Sigrun, Vala, Vali, and Vidar, and the lowerclassmen, made up of Xehanort, Eraqus, Balder, Urd, Bragi, Vor, and Ermod. Got it memorized? And although unions and societies are gone, the concept of blue bloods remain. Eraqus is stated to be a blue blood, as he's descended from royalty, which the majority of the community agree that the person he's related to is Brain. Eraqus mentions that the nearest towns that can be seen are all abandoned, which I wonder if he's referring to the tall white islands themselves, or if there are any towns that used to exist outside of Scala and these islands themselves. This is the first era that we know of to first introduce the concept of a Mark of Mastery exam. Any sort of exam doesn't seem present during Missing Link's iteration of Scala or during Union Cross's DayBreak Town. And it's even hinted that it wasn't a thing when the Master of Masters was a boy either, or at least the Master didn't deem the status important, as he tells Xehanort that the results don't matter. Reminiscent of the prophecy that will no doubt be explored in Missing Link, Master Odin is aware of a Dark Seeker to arise, as he mentions here. Perhaps similar to the Child of Destiny prophecy, the Dark Seeker may represent the yin to the yang, one to complement the other. It's interesting to mention that during the launch version of this Dark Road scene, Master Xehanort says that the blue-robed figure told him that the one chosen to be a dark vessel could connect their hearts to others and feel what they feel, which is very different to the alternate Japanese version and the updated English version where he states that the Child of Destiny could do this. This has me wondering if the one chosen to be a dark vessel, or how it's more commonly referred to as the Seeker of Darkness, isn't related to the same prophecy written in the book about the Child of Destiny. When Xehanort starts showing signs of becoming the Dark Seeker, Master Odin states, "The Dark Seeker will finally be upon us." Then, when Balder wants to summon Kingdom Hearts, Odin's very aware of what's going to happen and says, "So it begins." We don't know how he knows this information, but my best guess is that he's either read the Book of Prophecies or someone who's read the Book of Prophecies told him this would happen. At the end of the game, when Xehanort decides to kill Balder instead of purging the darkness from inside him, Odin similarly states fate can be so cruel. During an interview after Dark Road release, Nomura answered a question about this line and states, "Naturally, Master Odin also had a master to mentor him. Said master entrusted Odin with a mission, which actually ties in with the identity of the blue-robed figure. If we do see a young Odin in Missing Link, I could suspect that the master could be an older Brain, since he's very known to have read the Book of Prophecy, so he does know what will happen, and that seemingly nothing can be changed. And this line relates to the blue-robed figure, which we know to be the player's second life. So when Nomura said this, he may be referring to the scene at the end of Dark Road when player tells Xehanort about the prophecy he learns, so we'll probably become acquainted to Odin during Missing Link if this is the case. I personally do think this will be the case, but Odin is actually Luxord, who's Ludor, but they may actually be Loki. But actually the original Lushu? But he's actually the player because...
You can't be serious.
Anyways, don't question it, we're moving on. Following the ending, Eraqus states that Master Odin stopped taking in new apprentices and wants Eraqus and Xehanort to take his place so he can retire. His plan is to leave Scala ad Caelum and settle down in some cozy little world. When creating a piece of art, creators often like to include parts of themselves within the story. Like Studio Ghibli's The Boy and the Heron, being Hayao Miyazaki's reflection of his own life. Some publications go as far as labeling the movie a biography, and without spoilers and going too deep into this, in Miyazaki's own words, the movie was for his grandson to showcase that grandpa will move on to the next world, but he's leaving this film behind. Now, in my own interpretation, I think Odin Retiring is a reflection of Nomura thinking about his own future and that he too wants to have people ready for it and have successors to continue his legacy. This perfectly mirrors Nomura's 2024 Famitsu interview, where he's answering a question regarding the ending of Kingdom Hearts. He explains that it's becoming a race between retirement and finishing the series. This line sparked a little bit of a controversy with a lot of misinformation. It doesn't mean that Nomura is going to retire within the next few years. I mean, the Lost Masters arc is only beginning, and considering the last arc spanned 17 years and the game development just keeps getting longer and longer, it's just the reality that he has to think years ahead to see what he'll be able to accomplish during the time that he has left. 1 year after the game ends, Xehanort and Eraqus broaden their horizons once again and travel to other worlds, seemingly for an entire year. During this year is when Xehanort meets the Master of Masters and time travels to the future to Dream Drop Distance and Kingdom Hearts 3. 2 years after the game ends, Eraqus and Xehanort reconnect while playing chess. Here I notice another potential parallel to Nomura when Xehanort says that he realizes one lifetime is too short and not enough, to which Eraqus states that that's the point of training successors. But Xehanort says he'd rather do it himself. Nomura is both the director and screenwriter for this game, and in an interview he stated that Xehanort's the character he most connects with. So I do really think that some parts of Xehanort are just parts of Tetsuya Nomura. Xehanort explains that he wants 13 lifetimes before quickly changing his mind to 14 to explore the new world. Now, this 14th life may spawn another theory of mine that's related to the Master of Masters, but considering how long this video has taken me, Kingdom Hearts 4 may already come out before I finish making that one. For one lifetime isn't enough. Anyways, 4 years after the game ends, Xehanort's leaving Scala ad Caelum to see more of what's out there. Considering he's already been to a lot of worlds, like Eraqus says, I can theorize that it could be the same new world he mentions 2 years prior. He may be trying to find his mom and may think she's in Quadratum. Finally, 7 years after the game ends, we return to the scene I mentioned at the start of the video. We learn that 1 year prior to this, Eraqus becomes in charge of Scala and both of them receive highly acclaimed Keyblades and end up fighting. This leaves a 47-year-long gap as we transition to the Land of Departure, 54 years after Dark Road. Like I said in the intro, I think one or more of the 13 Darknesses could have emerged during this time gap and attacked Scala. After Dream Drop Distance, whenever a character would be seen with yellow eyes, the community would call them Norded.
Aqua got Norded!
But what getting yellow eyes actually means is that they've been corrupted by darkness. During this last scene that we see of Scala, Xehanort still has his original silver eyes, but after the time skip, he's seen with yellow eyes, where it's confirmed that the darkness has taken him. Birth by Sleep introduces the Land of Departure. It's the first location that we've mentioned so far that doesn't feature the series' staple clock tower design. The location is mainly used as a school to train new Keyblade wielders. Similar to Dark Road, once a wielder becomes strong enough, they're to undertake the Mark of Mastery exam. In Xehanort's letter to Eraqus, he states that it was his idea to conduct the Mark of Mastery exam in order to manipulate Terra. But let's focus on the line where he states that this is the traditional exam, meaning it was probably used before Dark Road's version of Scala, as that game featured an entirely different exam involving traveling to other worlds to gain clarity. So when was this traditional exam used? The only other Keyblade Master alive during this era that we know of is Yen Sid, so perhaps he took the traditional exam too? After the events of Birth by Sleep, as we know, Eraqus, the Land of Departure's leader, was struck down by Xehanort and a manipulated Terra, leading the world to darkness. After Ventus is put in a coma, he subconsciously summons a waypoint to the Land of Departure. This creates a paradox back to the start of this video, paralleling the paradox of Ansem time traveling to meet young Xehanort. Funny? Haha? So now that we've come full circle, there is one major plot hole that needs to be addressed. The scene in question being the very last scene of Melody of Memory when Yen Sid tasks Mickey with investigating the new world and how it relates to ancient Keyblade masters.
You'll begin in the world of Scala and Caelum.
So wouldn't a previous Keyblade master know that Land of Departure used to be Scala? Well, like I mentioned, we don't know how old Yen Sid actually is, and Disney characters don't age unless they have a pre-existing design to accommodate the new look, like young Hercules for example. And this is also probably the case as to why Yen Sid has the same exact model in Birth by Sleep as in Kingdom Hearts 2, although it's taking place 11 years before. Now, as of Melody of Memory, it's been exactly 74 years since Scala ad Caelum was last seen, so he could have started training as a Keyblade master after Scala already turned into Land of Departure. If none of that is the case, but he does in fact know Scala used to exist, then after the scene of him telling Mickey to explore Scala, he might have simply followed up by telling Mickey to find Aqua to transform the world back to how it looked like during Dark Road. Or, the more plausible theory, or unplausible depending on how you look at it, it could connect to Mickey showing up in Key, as we still haven't seen an explanation as to what Mickey's doing there. But they will have to create another Mickey's lost his shirt moment since his outfit matches with the one from Kingdom Hearts 2, not the one from Kingdom Hearts 3 or Melody of Memory. What we do know is Mickey wasn't just a projection or data based on the Book of Prophecies like all the other Disney characters and Disney worlds, so this is the perfect opportunity to explain it. The way I see this event taking place is a Playable Mickey section during Kingdom Hearts 4. This way, they'd be able to catch up the casual Kingdom Hearts audience that were too ignorant to play a mobile game or just simply chose not to watch any of the cutscenes. But none of the present Kingdom Hearts characters seem to know much about the Age of Fairy Tales either, so this would be a perfect way to catch both of them up. Now to explain how Radiant Garden plays into all of this. The oldest person that we know of to once live in this town is Kairi's grandma. It's unknown if she was born in this world or migrated to it, but considering she knows about the ancient Keyblade War, either she's from one of the versions of Scala, or Radiant Garden must have been built by Keyblade wielders. One theory that I'm not entirely convinced about is that she's Ava. If she isn't Ava, one plausible theory is that during Missing Link, during the Ragnarok event I described, people migrate to other pieces of land or worlds. Some seek refuge and form Radiant Garden, and some stay behind to help Brain and eventually populate the new Scala once Brain uses Master Defender to transform the land. From a top view, Radiant Garden seems to have a spaceship-like design, so maybe Kingdom Hearts will take inspiration from Noah's Ark and people escape Gothic Scala using some sort of big device. One huge evidence that supports this is in the Missing Link beta. Remember the scientists' outfits that I mentioned? Well, they're the same exact outfits that people from Radiant Garden wear. But I don't think people just migrate to present-day DayBreak Town, but to other worlds as well, even Unreality. During Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind and the trailer for 4, we see the Scalan alphabet used all over the city. This must mean that either people from Scala must have moved to Unreality, or people from Unreality moved to Scala. As we're talking about Unreality and the world of fiction, I think that Wreck-It Ralph's world, where all the characters are aware that they're just data, is meant to foreshadow that everything in Kingdom Hearts is taking place within literal fiction, in Sora's imagination. This would coincide very nicely with Melody of Memory's parallel of Quadratum being fiction for the Kingdom Hearts characters, and Verum Rex being a video game in Toy Box. In Kingdom Hearts 4, Sora may learn that all his adventures were just happening either in his head or within his dreams. The setup is all leading towards it, and I know how cliche it sounds, but I think they could very easily make it work, with the game showing us that although everything's been happening within imaginary worlds, it doesn't mean that none of it was important. It was real to Sora, and that's the driving force of Kingdom Hearts. Don't assume your dreams are just fantasy. If you can imagine a world, believe in it, and dive in. This could also relate to when Mom tells Darkness that if you imagine hard enough, you can make anything a reality. Thank you to every single person who's made it this far into the video. I post daily on all my social media platforms, including YouTube posts, so I'd greatly appreciate it if you subscribed and followed. Tell me what you think down below. I read every single comment and reply to most of them. And lastly, but definitely not least, thank you to everyone involved with the March Caprice. I'm a newcomer to the Kingdom Hearts content creation landscape, but I've been lurking, observing all the content creators for many years, and I thought, maybe my time to fulfill my role has come. One day, tomorrow will come, but till then, we must let our hearts be our guiding key.